Well, this has been a long time coming. I cannot thank those who have supported me enough. My mom, dad, Dave Schaefer, I'll give you a shout out. My boss, Mike Perry. My D group guys, Dan, Adam, Curtis, you know who you are. I wouldn't be here without your support, advice, and encouragement. This is something that I have wanted to do now for so long, but the timing, if I'm being honest, is now all on God. I simply wasn't ready before, but God has now called me to do this, and I'm so excited for what comes next. It's truly unbelievable. This podcast is dedicated to not just the people I mentioned earlier, but to those daily question followers on my Facebook page. This is for you. You are my target audience. Even if you are not religious, I believe you will find the authenticity and vulnerability incredibly uplifting. I'm going to be honest with you. Many of these conversations upcoming will be uncomfortable. I will be sitting down with people I agree with and disagree with, talking about topics that the church simply refuses to discuss. This is not an indictment on the entire church, though, by no means. There are many that are holding to their orthodox beliefs. Amazing independent creators are scattered throughout, and they are doing great work. I simply want to join them. Now, there are numerous podcasts on leadership, discipleship, devotions, theology, apologetics, etc. This podcast is not that. We will talk about things that will deal directly with those subjects, but my goal is to sit down with people and have an unfiltered conversation regarding topics such as sexual identity, divorce, finances, raising children, evangelism, singleness, marriage, abortion, pornography, pastoring. You know, what it means to be human and a Christian. See, we wrestle with these things, but oftentimes in isolation. The youth of today deserve better answers from the church. Satan doesn't want us to discuss these things. And when we don't, the people seeking answers will leave and find another arena where these things are being discussed. Now, as a Christian, I certainly believe that my faith has the best answers. Of course, I'm biased, and that's what this podcast will be. It will be biased. But if we as the church don't openly engage in discourse regarding these topics, then we have lost the battle. You see, discomfort can be good, and I want to challenge you to open up your own assumptions and prepare for a journey. As we approach a new year, I wanted to take the opportunity to deliver something new to your lives, and while being guided by God's righteous hand, we can walk this path together and discover what He has in store for us. I am so thrilled to get started, and with your help, your prayers, and your feedback, we can start a new movement, a fearless movement. Let me share a brief story with you before I go. In John Bunyan's The Pilgrim's Progress, the main character named Christian is on a journey to the celestial city, which we know as heaven. Along the way, Christian encounters many trials and tribulations. He finds this journey rather arduous and to be full of temptation. Sounds familiar, right? Well, in one such instance, Christian manages to climb up the hill of difficulty, really well named in this case, and he finds a place for temporary rest and relief for weary travelers, okay? It's meant for him. Well, he falls asleep, and a valuable possession that he was given slips from his grasp and falls to his side. Waking up a little while later now, in darkness, Christian suddenly realizes that he has been asleep for far too long, and he quickly gathers himself and his belongings and resumes his journey. He begins to feel guilty as nighttime has now arrived, and he now has to proceed without being able to see the ground beneath him. For the journey to salvation is difficult when you have to rely on your own strength. It is only a little while later that he realizes that his valuable possession is missing. He is now filled with anxiety and realizes that he now has to retrace his steps. He eventually returns to the temporary resting spot to find his possession, a scroll which will permit his entrance to the celestial city. In his guilt-ridden agony, Christian begins to lament at his circumstances. He wasted so much time searching for his scroll. He abused the resting place and did not use it for temporary relief. Listen to what Bunyan writes. Thus, therefore, he now went on bewailing his sinful sleep, saying, O wretched man that I am, that I should sleep in the daytime, that I should sleep in the midst of difficulty. End quote. Then Christian goes on to recite a passage from 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verses 4 through 6, if you want to follow along. But ye, brethren, are not in darkness, that day should overtake you as a thief. Ye are all the children of light, and the children of the day. We are not of the night, nor of darkness. Therefore let us not sleep, as do others, but let us watch and be sober. You see, in this allegory, Christian almost lost his token to salvation due to his slothfulness. This slothfulness which manifested in his sleeping. Now, many of us are spiritually asleep, are we not? Aren't we oblivious sometimes to what God has been telling us? Are we too busy dreaming instead of waking up to our reality? It is time for a new church movement. It is time that we no longer sit on the sidelines. We must cease our senseless reactions to the world and start leading our culture. They have led us for far too long. It's time for the church to wake up, for we shall not sleep.